Throughout this semester, we've talked a lot about diversity issues and different scenarios that we could be potentially put in the classroom. All these scenarios that we discussed and all the case studies that we've discussed are real and could be potentially us, or it could be on a lower scale or a bigger scale, depending on where we teach. You just never know. One of the first articles that we read for the semester is A Good Place to Begin. And it was a good place to begin. It was a self-examination article. At the end of the article, it left me with one question: who am I? As an educator, it's important to know yourself so that you can better understand others or your students. In knowing yourself, it also helps shape your teaching. So even when you know yourself as an educator, it's also important to be vulnerable enough to allow others or your students to help also shape your teaching, because they will benefit the most from it. Creating a safe learning environment is key in all of this because you want your students to feel safe. Some students have come from across the country and it's foreign literally to them. So you want to create a safe classroom. Things as such as making labels in different languages could help accommodate certain students. Other students, you may need to buy resources because of they come from a family that doesn't really have a lot of money or a lot of support. For some students, they just may need a little more time to comprehend things. So that's important to know your students so that you can so that they can also help shape your teaching. With knowing your students, it's also important to know that equity and equality are two different things. Fair and the same are two different things. All students learn different. All students are different. With that in mind, it's important to meet each student where they are. Equity is when you are providing each student with what they need to be provided with. All students do not need to be provided with the same thing. Some students may need bigger print. Some students, like I said before, may need more time. So it's important for you to know your student. Equality, on the other hand, is giving everyone the same thing all across the board. I choose equity over equality because it's more personalized, more unique, and it serves a more diverse base of students, which is the sum of this semester. Also, another article that we read is Not in My Classroom: Teachers' Attitudes Towards English Language Learners in the Mainstream Classroom. So from this article, it left me with thinking, what is my purpose? As an educator, it's important to know what your purpose is. You should have a backwards design and have your end goal in mind before you plan, because you need to be strategic with your planning. That's why they have TEKS. The TEKS is the objective. Well, TEKS and objectives are two different things, but you base your objective off of your TEK. You want to know what your students need to know, what their goal is, and then you work your way towards that goal. So as an educator, you ask yourself, what is my goal? What do I want my students to do? And you strategically plan for that. Also with planning, it goes into your attitude too. Your attitude as a teacher reflects your students' attitudes as learners. You want to have a positive classroom environment. It goes back to the classroom environment. You want to have a positive classroom environment so that your students can have a positive learning experience. And it not only is with teachers' attitudes, but also with parents' attitudes. One of my implications, not necessarily an instructional implication, but a teaching implication, will be parental involvement. Parents' attitudes towards education, if that was to increase, I guarantee you students' motivations will increase. It takes a village, and that statement is very true. Teachers, it's all on teachers' shoulders. Some of these students are getting raised by teachers, by parents younger than me. Some of their parents were young moms also, or dads. So with that being said, over the years, the quality of education has diminished, and it is our job as educators to make sure that these students still value education. So with that being said, it's important that we set our expectations high so that the students can meet those expectations. My implications are using strategies all around the board. ELL strategies are great for students all around the board. Parental involvement, because as I stated, teachers' attitudes are important, but parents' attitudes is just as important, if not more. Just as important. Going that extra mile, providing those resources for students' accommodations when need be, is very crucial to helping the students get to the next level. Leveling the playing field for all parties involved, student, teacher, parent. It's important for the teacher to make clear that they are no more important or special than the person that they are working with. And then maybe that will break some of the communication barriers and thus help with the student's success. And last but not least, it's important to make no assumptions about your students because you never know. And with that, you set high expectations so that they can meet your high expectations. And once they meet them, set them even higher. Thank you. This is my TED Talk, and my name is Melody Lowe.